Good day, CVPA families. I know that I promised you a copy of this presentation earlier, but I figured that instead of sending you written notes, I would just re record or record my presentation so that those of you who were not able to attend could also hear what we shared on the day of. In general, the CVPA program, as you know, our core mission is always to prepare students for optimal post secondary high school options. And that includes obviously going to college. That's our main focus to get students to college with as free of a college education as possible. But of course, that depends on what happens at this level. And so this conversation is precisely about fine tuning that process. As you know, we also have a minimum grade point average, which is a 2.0, but really that is a very, very low minimum. And so our expectation is that once students are in the program, that they should be maintaining a 3.0 so that they can be eligible for the mini scholarship applications, since that is the starting point for full ride scholarships. This is a revision of that same information and just kind of a reminder to all of us of what our different responsibilities are. I won't read the different columns to you. I hope you'll read it on your own, but just a reminder that students are expected to be in school every day for all their classes. A reminder that CVPA classes are not electives, they are not. After school programs, there are academic classes that students are required to attend. As parents, you want to make sure that you're checking in with your children and make sure that they're on top of their homework and their assignments, and then they're in the best academic standing possible. And then, as staff, our job is to make sure that the two others are happening. And if they're not happening, that we are in touch with you so that you are aware of what's going on and you can help guide and shepherd your young scholar in the right direction. The first set of grades were recently released, and so we are going through those now. We'll be in touch with some families for students who may need additional guidance. At the event, we had a few words from Mr. Wright and from Ms. Strayhorn. Mr. Wright, as you know, is our acting principal, and Ms. Strayhorn is the assistant principal here in the annex. Some things about the buses. Oddly enough, we're still going through um, transportation woes. We had a number of students who let us know way too late that they didn't have a bus, so we're working on those. And then we had some leftover young people who, sorry, some leftover bus routes that needed to be rerouted, and some buses needed to have students taken out of them and put in other buses so that the ride wasn't as long. As you may or may not know, some students were not getting home until like 8 p.m. I mean, of course, that's not at all acceptable. So our goal is to get every child home safely. If you plan to move or if you move, please let us know way in advance so that we can begin, or as soon as you have documentation of where your new residence will be, so that we can start processing. We don't want to wait until after you've moved because it can take weeks to get your transportation set up. And the growing pains of construction are still with us. And we are asking everyone to please assist us to make sure that every student is safe on campus, especially around dismissal time. We're asking that when you pull up on campus, that where regardless of what's happening here, that you go to this red line here and wait for your child. That is as close to the sidewalk as possible. And so that would allow enough time, enough space for buses to come through and make this round so that they can pick up students and go on their way. At the very beginning, the yellow line is where buses are going to be waiting, but the blue and the red is after the main group of buses have left. Additionally, we're asking that you not drive parallel to the buses. There's only one lane here, and that's creating a safety concern because students zip in and out of in between buses, and so they can't see cars that are coming on the other lane because there is no other lane. So, although it may take a little bit of time, we ask that for the safety of everyone involved, including mine, that you please just wait patiently behind the buses so that there could be only one lane. Because as you notice, Here, towards when it gets to the access road, there's not space for two vehicles, so it doesn't make sense to drive two lanes when only one lane can go. Thank you for that in advance. And I noticed that a lot of you have already started doing that, creating the one lane, and we see you. So thank you. We just need everyone else to also do this as well. This is a reminder of what colleges are looking for in an optimal college application in terms of what students' transcripts should look like. I always share this information because it's not necessarily in alignment with what PGCPS required. And so I'm always reminding students that there is a huge gap between the minimum requirements of what's required to graduate from Prince George's County schools versus what optimal colleges are looking for in terms of the level of rigor that a student is bringing to their campus. I ask that you constantly review and compare this. There's just 2 pages that you review and compare these courses so that you are meeting these minimum requirements as they are what is required for college. Again, every college is different, but the highly selective schools and the scholarship awards come with this level of rigor. Additionally, our students, because they're in the CVPA program, they add on an additional 10 to 15 credits in the arts. And so that's an additional advantage, obviously. For this year, we are working to get students in front of as many professionals or interacting with professionals as possible, whether it's bringing them on campus, whether it's taking them to productions, or involving them in workshops. We want students' work to be visible beyond our walls, and so we're asking and encouraging students to participate in as many contests and workshop opportunities outside of the school. And for that, we need parental assistance. In some cases, students may need to be driven to places. We are very often asked to be to provide performers for events in the local area. And so, if we get an opportunity, or if your child has an opportunity, we ask that you consider allowing him or her to participate with your support, obviously. And we also want to make sure that students are aware of all the different careers that are available within their scope. We tend to think that performing arts are only for performance, but that is not the case. There are a number of we have a number of students who graduates rather, who are professors, who are executives in the arts. We have, for instance, one of our dance graduates is a major executive at the Kennedy Center. His name is Malik, and but he's not unusual in that sense. And so just getting students to be aware of the number of opportunities that are available in careers in the arts, which involves Thrively, and I'll get to that in a minute. But that's part of the training that students go through to make sure that they're connecting their talents to their future careers. One example that I used was a strings major who graduated 2 years ago. Her name is Lorraine Rogers, and Lorraine was a strings major who did not see herself being a solo performer, but she was really great in her craft. Um, and so she was thinking of going to the military. We were having like she was thinking about taking a gap year because she just couldn't figure out what she wanted to do. And through her work, her individual independent study in Thrively, she learned that she had the ability, and she had interest in foreign languages, and she had the ability to pick them up quickly. And that kind of has to go with the strength of her being an auditory learner, because musicians are auditory learners. And so she found out about this career called linguistics, and that's what she's doing now. She is now at the University of Maryland. I got ahead of myself, but we went to a field trip. We went on a field trip to the University of Maryland last month, and we saw her there. And that's what she let us know, that she's majoring in romantic languages and she's going to be a linguist. She is one example, but she's not the only one. And so we just want students to be aware that their talents and their abilities, and their learning strengths can be aligned with other careers that are not necessarily directly in the performing arts. We want to remind students about scholarships, and so one of the things to be aware of, especially given recent events, is to have all their scholarships, or to have all of their um, to have all their for seniors specifically, to have all their college applications completed before December 1st, regardless of when they're due, so that during the winter break they can focus on just working on scholarships. We want students to be eligible and available to receive scholarships beginning January 2nd, which is when colleges start awarding funds. There are some things that may change, as you may know, in the coming year. And so the earlier students get um, some kind of award, the better it will be. And so that just means on the part of our students, to take action as early as possible. Um, this is something for all students to keep in mind and just kind of figure out where they are in their journey. If you're in the ninth grade, you should be developing a solid foundation, and that means that you are creating a schedule that works for you within the CVPA program. That go home, figure out when to do homework, when to eat, so that you have a day that is conducive, but also that you are getting good grades in the classes that you're in, so that you can be eligible for the higher academic classes. Then in your sophomore year, if you're a sophomore, you want to get ready to apply and to take tests for the more rigorous classes like AP honors. I think all of the IB is done as of this year, but definitely AP classes and advanced classes. You want to make sure that you are eligible for those classes, and the testing for that will begin in January, February. Be on the lookout for those. If you're a junior, you want to make sure that you are giving your portfolios your all, that you're doing a lot of self individual work. Whether you are a musician, whether you are a visual artist, whether you are a media arts major, that you are creating and fine tuning the work that you've done in the past 2 years, so that if you need to show someone what you've accomplished, you're ready to do that. And you're going to do that. You're going to be able to do that your senior year. But also, you should be thinking about exploring summer programs, summer college programs, or pre-college programs. And so for those, you might also need the body of work to show what you're capable of. And then your senior year, those of you who are seniors, as I just mentioned, you should be completely focused in completing all of your college applications in the coming month, so that you can focus on your scholarships the next month. And then if you are planning on attending if you're planning to audition into the schools, then you have the spring to focus on that, and then you're not trying to do multiple things. That is a way to ease up. And then between those of you who are going to be graduating soon, you want to use that time to figure out obviously where you're going to go to school. Make sure that you are meeting the criteria that's required, whether it's making a down payment, figuring out who your roommate is, figuring out what your support system is going to be at your new school, figuring out when you're going to go home. If you have to arrange flights back and forth, just so that you have an idea of what support you'll need, so that your family can support you as best as possible. This is a breakdown of what I just said for the 4 years. And so I won't go through each of those. This just kind of has the steps of how you do that, how you do the big picture things that we were just talking about. And if you click on that hyperlink on the on the actual presentation, if you click on the ninth grade link, it has a number of activities that you can start doing. Here we also have the code for your class. So if you haven't signed up for your Remind class, please be sure to do that, so that you can get notifications that are specific for your grade level, but also so that you can communicate with me directly, parents as well. You can communicate with me directly in the event that I'm not in the office. And then same goes for 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and then that final the transition between your summer, your graduation summer, and your first year at your new college. But also, if you don't go to college, your very first year, some kids take a gap year. Some kids choose the military. Some students choose to work instead. Um, I just want you to know that if that is what you choose, that if you choose something other than college, is that you're choosing it because that is a choice, and that is not because it's the only choice you have. So I would still encourage you to go through the process of applying for colleges and having options, so that if you don't go, it's because you chose not to go and not because you couldn't go because all the dates ran out. It's just something to consider. Student resources. So we've done a lot of talking about Thrively and the MacBook, which is a lot of students are interested in. And this presentation also has the links. This is some information about what our students have found out about themselves in terms of what their strengths are, what kind of career paths are available to them, and which is the ways that they learn best or easiest, so that they can use those tools when it's time for them to study. And the major takeaways for Thrively is that you find out what your strengths are. It helps you build resiliency, and by that I mean, there are a number of things that our students need, and I would even say adults really. How to deal with disappointment, how to deal with not getting along, how to deal with the loss of a friendship, how to deal with how to deal with mourning, how to overcome shyness, to be more assertive, to be able to speak up for yourself. And then, last but not least, is connecting the strengths that we learn about in the first set of assessments to actual careers, and exploring what is required to enter those careers, what kind of majors, what kind of schools, which schools have those careers. Also, how much does it pay to be in that career? A lot of very useful activities that you benefit from. And then this is the MacBook Air agreement that parents need to complete in order for the students to pick up the agreement. And so the question is, well, what do they have to do? This is the next thing. These are the steps students need to follow to get to the pickup point of their agreement. And so this is the link that students need to go to. This is the code that they'll need to join the CVPA group. And then the activities, which the first of which is to complete these activities. The first is they'll learn their strengths. Habits of mind. It helps students understand how they organize ideas and thoughts. Smarts let students know what kind of intelligence they have. Are they auditory learners? Are they kinesthetic learners? Are they anyway, there are different intelligences, so it helps students know where they fit. Some students have been surprised because we have musicians that are actual visual learners instead of auditory learners, and so it's good for students to know, which ways they learn the easiest or to learn best. Interest profiler connects these strands at the top with actual careers that would be a good fit for those students. And then the hope index is a combination of the well-being, but it's more specific about how students feel about their future. And so when students display low hope for the future, it lets us know that manifests itself in a lot of other ways. And so the more we know, or the earlier we know, the best that we can assist and provide, connect students with services to help them feel better about themselves, about their future. And sometimes students have uncovered for themselves things that they weren't really thinking about, but they really needed assistance with. So oh, great stuff. And then this is activity two. Once students complete their strength assessment, they're going to have to answer these questions about themselves and their strengths, and then create a kind of a profile of sorts, where they'll upload a photo of themselves and write a statement. A statement the statement is really more to set an intention of where they are now and where they want to be at the conclusion of their high school experience. These are other activities that opportunities for students to consider. As I was saying earlier, we want students to see their work and to see themselves outside of the walls of Suitland. And so we highly recommend AXO. AXO is a is a minority, specifically African American focused organization that helps students, that acknowledge your students' talents and and skills. I won't get too detailed, but I hope that you will visit the website so that it can explain it in full. But in short, it focuses on the arts as well as the academics. Young Arts is similar to AXO. That deadline just ended, but Young Arts is the most prestigious arts high school competition. So if you are someone who is in the ninth grade, I would encourage you to start looking into it this year so that you can be ready when the application window opens in the spring. And so the students that are eligible to apply are 10th, 11th, and 12th. And I encourage students to do it every year because it lets you know who the competition is. These are also the same students that will go to the big art schools, but also because when you apply, your name is then provided or sold to colleges that are looking for students like you, and then they start to reach out to you to recruit you personally. So definitely encourage you to apply for the Young Arts. This is the a short link to the same links that I shared before for each of the grade levels. And for those of you who are
College track
in the
is
ninth grade,
a college.
I'll pause this. For those of you who are currently in the ninth grade, the Durant Center still has openings for this year. So if you're interested, apply. I won't go into all the details, but you can click on this presentation and go to their website and complete the application. We have a number of ninth and 10th graders who are currently in the program, and they absolutely love it. It's after school, and it's another opportunity for students to be part of a community that encourages them to be successful. So I cannot speak highly enough about this organization. These are just short hyperlinks to the places that students should be. We've already spoken about FAFSA. Students should have their PIN already. If you don't have it, please apply for your PIN. To apply for your PIN, just follow the link and click on PIN and follow the directions. And you can submit your as soon as the window opens, you can submit your financial information so that you can be considered for grants and assistance as early as I mentioned before, January 2nd. FAFSA has also undergone a lot of changes. So if you have had a child that had FAFSA in the past and this is a new child, be sure to familiarize yourself with the changes because it's very different. Um, Additionally, for those of you who are interested in going to out of state schools but are scoffing at the prices because there is it's much higher than in school tuition, the, Maryland does have reciprocity with a number of other states in the eastern seaboard area. And so I would encourage you to explore which state we have reciprocity with so that you can attend out of state schools but with in state tuition. And then here we have a number of resources that I hope you will take time to review over the years. I would not recommend doing it all in one year. I share the same list every year so that you will take time over over time. But what I recommend for every student to read and every parent to read is A Whole New Mind. I've been recommending this book since the early 2000s, and at the time it was with the thinking that this was something that was going to happen way in the future, but really we are here now. The AI world is here, and that is both exciting and scary for some people. And the people who don't understand how AI works think that AI is going to replace artists and creatives, and that is not the case. It is simply another tool, but to know how to combine your particular strengths and abilities with the age of AI so that you can win at this. I highly recommend that you read A Whole New Mind. It is phenomenal. What other something else that you want to know? Know How to Go is also very useful, although that is a bit old. Um, and some of the process for applying to colleges have changed. What know how to go does provide, however, is resources for like fly-in programs. Like some colleges will pay for you to be on their campus for a week, and they'll fly you in. And so it has some of that information in there. I would also recommend that you let's see. I would also recommend that you watch. There's like something. Oh, this one here, behind the scene audio, is actually the evaluation. It's an evaluation board looking at student applications and making decisions about students. I think this is an important tool that for you to visit because it will let you know exactly um, how decisions are made. Even though every board is different, it will give you a sense of what the things you should not focus on, like what's a good practice and what's not such a good practice. Um, and also to let you see how brief the time is. They don't spend a whole lot of time in making a decision, so you want to make sure that your essay is clear and concise. You want to avoid cliches, but I can show you better than I can tell you, so I would recommend that you watch those, both of the behind the scenes. Anyway, all these resources are great, but those are the ones that I would say if you can only watch three, I would say those plus this documentary about subprime education, which is really, really important. And that is about a number of schools that are for profit colleges that you may not know are for profit colleges and the dangers of attending a for profit college. There are some tips of how to locate, how to recognize a for profit college. If they are using, if they are saying things like, you don't need grades to come to the school, or they minimize the amount of work that you'll need to do. I would stay away from any college or any admissions officer that's telling you that it's going to be so easy, you don't really have to work, because those schools really are looking for students to just pay. And so your education would be limited, or their focus is not your education, it's a business. And with the business, it's important to get you in and get you out so that you can pay and somebody else can come in and pay after you're in there. So get to know what a for-profit college is and what the science may be, because you want to avoid those. The only for-profit college that I would recommend is Full Sail University, and that's only if you absolutely know exactly what you want to get out of that school or what you want to go there for. One of the programs that I really like is their stage management program, and their animation program. But the challenges with those schools, with the for-profit schools, is the limitation of time. You are, sorry, you are in a very limited time, because their focus is to get as many students in and out to maximize profit. Hold on. Pardon. Here are a few more tools, and these tools are specifically for the purpose of different kinds of scholarships. And in some cases, some of the links may have changed. If that happens, just simply Google the name of the scholarship, and you should be able to find it. One of my favorite is this one, the full tuition scholarship, because those a lot of those scholarships are a full tuition plus. Some include an additional stipend, like $10,000, $25,000, for travel expenses, books, and other expenses. And that's pretty much it. This presentation is really dense. It has a lot of information in it. I would encourage you to sit down with your young scholar and to go through all of the areas that are important to you. Thank you.